Hey guys, what's up? This is Damnation-n-Hellfire. I'm joined today by Drizzt, who is in his truck, so I'm occasionally muting him so he doesn't. Hey guys, what's up? This is Damnation-n-Hellfire. I didn't mute my tubes. Oh, that's funny. I can't unmute Drizzt now. All right. Well, I'm also joined by Metalbeard. Metalbeard, you want to say hi? And Shane Howe.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're going to talk about what I personally think is the most important thing in the game, which is the Forsaken mission. Would everybody else tend to agree that that's probably the single most important thing in the game?
If you want to get ahead, that sure is. If
So,
you want to stay current.
Yeah, fortunately for a lot of the lower players, Kixeye really threw them a bone this week and moved the Punisher and the Citadel down to tiers 1 and 2 of the FM. And that is really going to allow you to up your game for the Forsaken mission. I mean, by like a ton.
Yeah, that's for sure. Even for us that's been around, I've taken advantage of the Punisher tokens to refit some of my old Punishers into tanks to do it one time through instead of waiting for repairs.
And I actually even took advantage of the Citadel tokens to throw the high velocity shell on my Citadels, or high velocity rounds rather, you know, because there's 17 hours to do, and like currently right now with what I got going on in my shipyard anyway, 17 hours is a premium. And I'm like, oh, I can do it for free. Good deal.
Yeah, get it done in between builds.
Yeah.
I also added that viscosity for the extra 50% more splash.
Oh, nice.
As well.
Nice. I didn't even think about that. But let's go ahead and get right into it, and we'll start going over some slides. First, we'll start out with my Citadel build, what I am currently using at the moment. I'm running coax morts on mine just because they had a cheap build time, and in the FM targets, the mortars being shot down aren't an issue. So you know you didn't have to go with the judgments for the MERV effect when your mortars are shot down. Also speed system 5, because as we all know, anybody who uses Citadels are so slow. They are so slow that it's not even funny.
Yeah.
High velocity rounds, like I was saying, that I used, because they just make your mortars go silly fast. They almost like teleport to their target. I like splash upgrade. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I like splash upgrade a lot.
Well, the splash upgrade, that could be where you replace it with the viscosity once you get it from the tier 5.
That's true.
That gives it the extra bit. So once you acquire that, then apply it to there.
Right. I think when I built mine, that wasn't out yet, and I just haven't had time to go back and do it yet.
Yeah.
And then, oh, what's that special called right there? I forget.
Which one? The combustion system 2?
Yeah, combustion system 2. That's it. That's it. So that's what I personally use for my Citadels. As far as my tank, and I will preface this by saying, this tank only works if you run a Bullseye Brigade. But I like my Tide Seeker tank a lot. With this tank and Bullseye Brigade, I can do both runs of the Forsaken mission straight through, not have to repair. So I really like that. Of course, you know, I got some hails on there. I use 2 because when I did this build, I tried to use like, okay, what's the quickest minimum thing I think I can do to get away with an effective tank? So I use 4 hail 2s. I use 4 phalanx 3s. I use some R cannons just to get my resistances up a little bit. Garwood Gatling gun for my spotting, and they're kind of cool too because they can kill the mines underwater whenever the Tide Seeker picks them up. And I have hydraulic resistors on for speed and a little bit more concussive resistance. Ion thrusters for turn speed. Speed upgrade for even more speed, because I like dart my tank in and out, in and out. That way it's not just sitting there the whole time, take it in the face by the cold snap. And then, of course, I have frontline countermeasures on to help the countermeasure performance on my particular tank.
And you also get that turret defense out of it, of course.
Correct. And that is very important, because that's the biggest majority of what we have in there is fighting turrets.
Yeah.
So I also have, hang on, let me switch screens here a little bit. I put together some low level player Citadel that they could possibly work with. You got Pandemonium mortars, because they are also really low in the FM right now. I think tier 1 or tier 2, I can't remember for sure which one, but pretty easily accessible. We got Speed System 4, because that's also pretty low accessible in the FM. We put on Countermeasure Loader 2, because it does give you a reload rate to your mortars of 15%. So faster mortars is always better. I put high explosive shells on there, because that's researchable. And, you know, the low guys, they don't have access probably to a whole lot of tech. So anything they can get that's researchable and use is great. And also Siege Battery 2 and Siege Targeting 2, because, again, they're both available for fairly low tiers in the FM right now. I think they're both available at tier 2. Here's a potential low-level target, or low-level tank, rather, for your Citadel fleet. I got Hailstorm Bees on. They're available in tier 2 of the FM. Same place where you get the Citadel. Speed System 4. MX2, because it gives you missile and explosive defense. I put Solid Fuel Booster 3 on it, because for my spotter, I'm using one D53Z missile, which is also available in the FM. You have Siege Battery 2. And again, countermeasure loaders to help your antis. And I also put on Phalanx anti-missile 2s to help with the missiles that will come in. And armor-wise, I put D2X, which is available in tier 2, or prize pool 2, as they now want to call it, of the FM. And for those only able to get to tier 1, I put together a ballistic build for a Punisher. I will preface this with saying I've never used this, but it looks on paper like it should work. But I'll put on a bunch of crossbow 1s, because they're available tier 1 in the FM. So if you get the Punisher, you can get these as well. D1X for explosive defense. I put on Speed System 3, MX1, Siege Targeting and Siege Battery 1, which are also available in tier 1 of the FM. And Hardened Barrels 3, which is researchable. And Hellstorm Anti-Mortar, which is available through research, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe those are research.
And Phalanx 1s, which are pretty easily accessible. And Shane, I'm going to put up your FM fleet if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. As far as the Citadel there goes, I run with 5 Judgment mortars, and for the MERV effect, of course. But then I run a Scattergun M in there, and that is for speed. When I started running these, I ran them with the Aegis for counter support and the Frosty effect. And those, as they walked up to mines, the Aegis and back would pick them up, and those scatter guns would shoot them while my mortars kept flying out there at what I had targeted for my pun tank for them to hit.
Cool.
Now, I've always liked backup. And I mean, the first time I come across that big chunker in Homeland on number 6, I'm glad I had those backup and Gale 1s there. That it's a weight issue is why they're there. But those citadels back there hold their own against mortars. So you don't have to worry about them falling on your fleet in the background. Of course, I changed it up and went with the high velocity rounds over siege targeting. And then I replaced my splash upgrade. What is this one? Oh, okay. This is the Harlock Citadel. This thing sits in my base. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that's why I have the agility 4 on their steel instead of the viscosity.
Gotcha.
For that extra splash.
Sorry, guys, I'm sharing a build that's not mine. I didn't know exactly what I was
okay. Other than that difference, the whole all the citadels are the same. These guys got the extra splash, and I give them that extra speed. But the one that sits in my base, you know, Furies come through there and all that stuff. So I kept the agility on there for that stun resistance ability. And that's the citadel. That's the power for the fleet.
All right.
This is the defense tank here. I'm going with the 1 Gale 2 and 5 Gale 3s is my main setup there. With 3 Phalanx 3s and the R missile, Harrier missile there for the point. I also run with solid fuel 3. I run the engine there with the concussive defense on it for whenever I'm coming up to torp pods and stuff as well in there. That's the one thing I also do is whenever I run my Aegis in there as well, and it gives me an extra 40% concussive defense along with that engine. When I'm facing the torpedo pods, I'm getting an extra 55% concussive defense in there. You just, when you come up to those parts in there, you just make sure your tank's in that field, and then you pull it back out there to do its job. And of course, the countermeasure, frontline countermeasure for the turret defense and accuracy and range. Now, there's a little bit of back and forth on the speed because you see I'm running heavy plate 3, which does minus 30% combat speed. And then I'm running the streamlined cadmium armors up there that give combat speed, but they also give turning. That's just in tweaking the speed because I like to go 5 mile an hour. I like to keep my tank 5 mile an hour difference from my power in the back.
Yeah, that's something that's very important. You always want to keep your tank just a little bit faster than what your actual citadels are to keep them out and ahead. And that way, not everything's getting shot at the same time because that can just lead into a big disaster.
Yeah, you can run it out there with no support and just get him toasted. And then you've got your house of glass in the back, you know. But that's pretty much my build. This thing does 109s for 30-minute repair each. And I can do 3 109s with this one tank.
Nice. Now, when you do your FM, do you use a bullseye brigade or no?
Yes, I do. But here lately, it looks like I'm taking some missile shots anyway. So I'm probably going to do some tests and see how far it goes without it. But it just habit. I throw one on there every time I go out there to do it.
I will also say this. I have been hearing rumors that they are thinking about discontinuing Bullseye Brigade. So that is something everybody should take in consideration when they are messing with their tanks for the FM. You might soon not have that option open to use the Bullseye Brigade for your FM every week anymore. So something to keep in mind. If they decide to discontinue it, I hope they come out with some other crew that's maybe not quite as effective, but does something for countermeasures because they've become such a integral part of the game. There are certain campaigns and stuff that I think people would just totally stop doing if some kind of buff to countermeasures were not given. Like High Tide Elite, for example, one of the campaigns we got this week. If Bullseye Brigade wasn't around to mitigate a lot of that missile damage, I wouldn't do that campaign. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, it seems like that crew's become more for using as a defensive crew rather than, I used to use them with my Deluge Reapers to go in and rip out fleets and bases. I used to use the Bullseye crew for that. But now anymore, I mean, people don't use it in that respect no more. They don't, you know, we used to run it on our Stingrays for the 100% accuracy on the cannons and stuff. It's not used in that respect no more. It's pretty much evolved to a defensive hoarded crew. You know, you hoard them for your use on your defensive as opposed to offensive actions in the game. You know.
So let's talk a little bit about the different levels of targets that we deal with. We got a picture of a level 40 target here. Basically, I got some arrows drawn out what I personally think would be a good driving pattern for this. I honestly cannot tell you in practice whether this would be a really extremely good driving pattern, because I haven't hit a 40 ever, I don't think, because I was well beyond that when they changed the FM style for my level. But, you know, one of the most important things I think that we need to point out to people is when you're approaching these islands with your tank and with your citadels, you always want to keep your tank probably like an inch or two either to the left or to the right of where your citadel fleet is, because that cold snap will fire out a bunch of explosive damage and it has a big spread on it. So you always want to keep it out to the left so that spread and splash will not go onto your citadels. I think if you take anything from today's show, take that nugget of information right there. It will save you a ton of time on repairs.
Yeah, it's really sweet when the only ship you got to repair is the tank itself.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, just would come down, take out the boat, and then take out the island, swing around the backside. You can take out the torp tower on your way through, and then take out the other boat and the other island. And that's how I would do a 40. Then we got a 47. Basically, it's more or less kind of the same strategy. You know, you just drive up from the south and hit that boat and that little cluster of turrets, swing around to the left, hit that other island with its cluster of turrets, swing up to the top, take them out and the boat, and then swing down around, taking out that other island and the torp tower. And then for the level 60, come in from the south, take out that island, up to the next island, swing around in a lazy S, taking out the torp tower, the main island, and the next torp tower, and then come up around and take out the other island and the last island. 67. I mean, basically, these are all the same. It's just showing you different driving patterns that I think personally would work fairly well. So, you know, come in from the south, taking out the island, the boat, the island, the next boat, the next island, the next island, and then swing back around and get the torp tower. And the level 80. Come in down probably around the 5 o'clock position, take out that island, the next island, the boat, the next boat, probably the torp tower. One of the most important things too, like especially it really starts to become relevant in this target, is you got to make sure that you try your best not to get within range of 2 islands shooting on you at the same time, because you can take a lot of unnecessary damage at that point.
True.
And then you just kind of swing up around and take out the other islands, flip down through the backside and take out the other boats in the last island. The 87, have you hit an 87 since they did the changes and tuned it up to be a little more accurate?
No, I haven't. And I only hit one before all that change, and this has been a couple of months back that I hit one. But they were already easy for my caliber of fleet, so I have no real gauge to go by. I mean, there was an instant repair running an 87 for me before. So,
I mean, I really wanted to do one before we did the show, but I mean, I'll be honest, with VXP weekend and doing the regular FM and all these campaigns we have, I just didn't have time.
Yeah, yeah, we're got a lot going on
Yeah,
this weekend.
almost too much, but that's something for a different show that we won't talk about.
Yeah.
So here I would come in about the 9 o'clock position, just swing down, taking out islands as you go. I would probably tend to swing really wide here coming down to the bottom. That way you're not getting hit by remote targeting by these boats up here. And then take out this top island, take out the next top island, and then start swinging down back in through the middle and working on that stuff as you go.
Okay. Myself on this one in particular, I'd probably come in like you did right there, but I would probably come straight across the base of that second island that you're coming into there, taking out that torp, and I'd use the outpost for splash on those weapons right there. But then when you come up to those two on the right, I mean, if you're targeting those two buildings right there, you can pretty much kill the island splash, trailing your fleet in behind you. That's just the difference of a run. That's just the way I would probably do it.
Right, right. And as you guys hit these targets, some of you newer players who haven't had the tech to get up to some of these higher level targets but now have access to, as you start doing them yourself, you'll probably be like, oh, well, if I do it this way, that works much better for me. And that's perfectly fine. We're just giving you some ideas of what we think might work.
Yeah, everybody figures out their own niche in driving. Everybody's a little different. So.
And we got the 102. I know I personally tend to come in from about the 7 to 8-ish position, come in and take out that island right there on the left, and then swing up and take out the north island. And you can take out that torp tower and that citadel as you go. Now, I know some people at this point will exit and come back in down about the 4 to 5 o'clock position and then take out that island and the one at the south and then work their way up through the middle. I personally have gotten to the point where I just like, if I were to do this, I would swing just way north again, trying to avoid remote targeting and torps and stuff, and come down and hit the island on the left-hand side and then the one on the south and then do the middle.
Okay. Now, my pattern on this one is like totally different than that because I used to hit these before we got the 107s and 109s. The Angry Arc, this has got that in it, right?
Yes, I do believe.
Okay, that's one thing that they need to really be careful of over those other bases is this thing is a little different on how you got to make sure that you got space for your fleet behind your tank. I mean, that's just the only difference on this one. You got the top left island and the bottom right island to really move your tank over to the side so you're not getting hit by that Angry Arc. And then also when you're going in it, if you're using a point range of 94, that arc has more of that Angry Arc in there has more of a chance of hitting your fleet back there because you actually get too close and with your tank and you're in its inner circle range and then it will shoot at your fleet in the back. So 98 range on this one right here on those two is kind of needed.
Okay, see, that is a good thing you're here then, because back when I did these, I was using ballistic punishers to do them, so the Angry Arc missile was never really an issue for me because I was just always outrunning it.
I've noticed that difference between the 94 range tanks and the 98 range tanks. The 94 range will go in too close, even though you're pointed at that very end executioner out there. If you go within 94 range, that arc will shoot at your fleet and back.
And if there's anybody who's still using ballistic punishers to do these targets, pro tip: when you approach the Zoes, rhinos, if you get park right on top of them, you get inside their minimum range, so it can't shoot at you while you're parked right next to it. You'll only be getting hit from the one at the top while you're parked right next to the one at the bottom. So that can save you quite a bit of damage there.
Yeah. Cool.
And then the 109. This is how I do 109s with my Tide Seeker tank. Again, very important, keep your tank a little bit off to, in this case for me, would be to the left of my Citadel fleet. Then I go up, take out that island. Usually by the time I'm done taking out this island and maybe a mine or two around there, I have full bloodthirst, so my tank's really speeding along, man. And then I go over, take out this island, I take out the island there and the two ships as I'm coming up on the right hand side. And then I swing way up to the top of that top island and take it out. And I kind of sit there, wait for my citadels to catch up a little bit. And then I start coming down through here to take out the last island there, and then the main island, and then that little island. And you can actually, if you park your tank like kind of right in the middle of the left-hand side of the center island, you can avoid getting shot by the bottom torque tower and the side torque tower while you're killing everything.
Yeah. I only get shot at by that inner torpedo torque tower on the right side. But I come in from the right side to begin with myself.
Okay.
And then I'll take out that top left, top right island. Then I come north and I take out that next island there. But then I bring them in between those two right there with my Punisher tank over the top side of that left one by that citadel. And I shoot over there. And when I take out that, it pretty much takes out that whole square pod right there of turrets.
Right.
And then, like I said, I drive in and take out that torque pod right there. Like I usually, like I said, I bring in my Aegis to where it covers my Punisher close enough when I'm taking on that torque tower. And then I bring in my extended range to where it covers that Zoe on the left and the Executioner down here on the bottom. And then I stop them and I just drive my tank straight left over here, like where you end up there in between those two islands. And I'm going for the Zoe, but I also take out that torque tower there without ever getting shot at. And then I come right down the right side of that center island and put the Executioner in range. And then it kills that. And then I just drive around to that bottom corner, taking out the torque pod with the Citadel there and then that island, and then come straight through and take out that next island. That's how I do it. But that direction right there, I only get shot at by the one torque tower in the whole thing, because Splash takes it out on the right side bottom there, and then you're out of range of it, like you said, using that buildings right there on the other sides of the other two torque towers.
And like a lot of the difference in our driving patterns too could probably have a lot to deal with using different tanks.
Yes.
You know, different tanks want to try to avoid different things more, and like then some tanks just like my Tide Seeker tank. Dude, I love that thing so much. I really do.
I heard of a new trick in here, and these targets in particular. If you started on the right side over there like that, apparently when you come in like around 4 o'clock over there, there's mines out there that your Tide Seeker can go out there and pop, boom, 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 without getting shot at nothing, and build up your bloodthirst, and then start your run.
I think Ren had posted a video for that.
Yes, he did, and that was a pretty neat little trick to go ahead and boost that up before you even take any shots from anything.
I know one thing I found when I was doing these targets back when I was using my Punisher tank is when I would get to the point where I would be ready to take out this middle, because I hadn't taken out any of the ships yet. Like those ships would really chew up my Punisher tank, especially the missiles off the Zoes. Yeah. So what I would tend to sometimes do a lot would be take out all the turrets and all the islands except for the middle one, and then I would switch fleets and I would bring in, like, you know, you could do either Apollos, or in my case I actually used my old heavy cruisers that I never used for anything else, and I would just fly down through the middle with those and then kill all the boats in there. And if my heavy cruisers took all week to repair, who the hell cared, because that was the only thing I ever used them for.
You had them set up fast style with scatter guns all the way?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You could do the same thing with Apollos, you know, as long as
you have those two little square islands gone. Get rid of those iron curtains there.
As long as you have the iron curtains dead, you know. And the only thing with Apollos is you got to be careful when you're driving. Don't double back on yourself and get hit by the mortars. I've seen people do that. That'll hurt for you. So don't do it.
Cool.
But I don't know, and that's pretty much what I had to say about the FM. Is there anything you wanted to add, Shane?
Oh no, I think we pretty much covered some of the uh, tips to keep in mind there when you're driving. I mean, this style of garrison, like I said, you know, I mean, with that splash of the cold snaps and everything out there, you want to keep them away and off to the side. Um, like I said, in my particular case, I'm glad I got those gales on my uh, citadels back there. For sometimes they'll shoot at my fleet back there in the back instead of the tank out front in individual situations here and there, you know. So, I mean, it's all how you set it up, and then I would say make sure that you are mindful in between the differences of the speeds of your tank and fleet. You don't want to drive off of them too fast and not have any power to back you up.
How did you say it earlier? You don't want to have your tank sitting in Texas while your citadels are sitting in Egypt.
Yeah, and they don't reach that far.
So yeah, you definitely got to watch out for that. But yeah, hopefully you guys can find some of these, some of the builds that we shared, and especially the low level builds for the guys who are just getting punishers and citadels. Hopefully you can find them very helpful and some of the strategies that we went through. And just a couple things before we go. I'm glad to see that the stream kept running all this week and didn't stop like partway through like it did last week. For future reference, if you're watching the show live and we ever lose the feed, I'll be honest, we're probably not going to spend 20 minutes trying to fix it for what's a lot of times going to be a half an hour stream. So you'll just have to catch it on the replay later. But it just seems silly trying to spend 20 minutes fixing something that's only going to be for half an hour anyway. So I'd also like to thank everybody who watched my Ironclad video hitting the 100s. That thing got like 1,500 views. And that was like one of my first videos ever, among the first videos I ever did. So I was really happy with the amount of views it got. Sorry that it was only valid for like 10 hours and then they changed everything. But, you know, I have no control over that. But I appreciate everybody coming out and joining us. Shane, I really appreciate you jumping on here and helping out and not leaving me here stranded all by myself.
Oh, you're welcome, bro.
Grizzle out visiting his son and Metalbeard having his internet issues. I was like, no, I don't want to do this all alone.
Yeah, it's not a problem, bro.
But thanks everybody for coming out. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Subscribe to my channel. This is where the shows will always be posted first, and then you can also subscribe to Brethren of the Coast. That's the videos will always end up finding their way there. And also make sure you join the Brethren of the Coast page, where we have all kinds of tips and tricks and just some fun frivolity going on. So thanks guys for coming out. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time.
See y'all later.